That's so much better than popping the hood of your car and pushing all these little things and holding them. Everything's dirty, everything's gross, your hands are nasty, now you're messing up your light, you drop it, it scratches, it's a terrible thing. You don't want to be doing all of that, which is why you're watching this video, because you want to know how to get set up in your garage, in your bedroom, wherever you're at playing around with custom lights so that you do this the right way. If you're a car guy, there's nothing worse than when you buy a brand new part, you can't even turn it on to test it. You wanna see the different modes? Well, you're gonna have to pop the hood of your car, test all the little things on the battery. It's gonna be a mess, and you're gonna feel like an idiot while you're doing it because you just don't have the right stuff. So these are the 5 first things you need to buy before getting into any sort of custom lighting. It's coming right up. This tool right here is called a crimper. This is 10 inches in length, and it gives me a lot of leverage when I crimp down. I use this thing to cut wires, strip wires, crimp all the connectors on those wires, and in general, it's just probably one of the most used tools that I have. Perfect example of how to use these crimpers. I've got this old wire here that used to be an extension cord for a pump, and I'm gonna use it to get it ready for my power supply so that that can be ready at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and cut and strip these wires with the crimpers and get them ready for the connectors. So sometimes this can be hard. You kind of got to learn this stuff over time, but if you work with crimpers very often, you'll be able to figure out how hard it is that you actually have to squeeze down. That's why the 10-inch length of this is actually so much better, because squeezing down from the back gives you way more control over how hard you are crimping down on it. Now, as you can see right there, all I'm doing is just squeezing down a little bit, not too hard, because if I do too hard, it'll cut right through. And then I'm bracing my thumb against this crimper and just pulling away slightly. Now, I did look like cut into the wire here at the bottom. This is a great example where crimpers are super versatile, but they can also be a little bit too much sometimes. So while we can cut and strip wire with crimpers, that's kind of better to do with wire strippers. The big reason that we use them is because we want to connect this little connector to that wire. And to do that, we have to squeeze down on it and basically pinch it from the inside with this little part on the crimper, and it's gonna push the inside metal connection down over that wire, and now it is completely connected and it's strong. It's like metal on metal connecting. Now, when you do crimp things down, one important thing that I see people do wrong all the time is they don't check their little spade connectors like this, which all you have to do is just stick a thumbnail or something like that in there, and you can realign that thing in the center, because when you crimp down, it can move the internal little parts. In any case, we know we are gonna redo all of this. This by far is the most important tool you're gonna use if you get into custom lighting. So go get yourself a good set. Don't spend 15 bucks if you could get the perfect set for 25. Dump that extra 10 bucks in there. Amazon, Prime Day, all that stuff. Go, right now, go. Stop this. Go buy crimpers. It's the first thing you need. The second thing that we're gonna use is a set of connectors. So we have some male and female spade connectors here. These are available in a lot of different sizes, but I'm gonna put a link in the description that gives you multiple different sizes for like 10 bucks. You're gonna go through these things all the time. You don't need fancy boxes. You don't need anything special. They're just little connectors that take one wire and another wire and make them go together, and you can disconnect them later. That's super important, especially if you're gonna buy something like this little 370Z 4th brake light. If I wanna hook it up and I wanna have multiple different things that I can plug the wires directly into a power converter, which we're gonna talk about in just a little while. And at least you start on the right foot. So let's get into the next thing that you should probably have if you're gonna do very much custom lighting, and that is a set of strippers. Now, I'm gonna link up a set of automatic wire strippers that will adjust to the wire size that you have. All you have to do is just squeeze down on them, and it's gonna automatically grab the wire based on how thick the shielding is, and it's not gonna cut all the inside little copper strands, right? You don't even have to move your hand like these ones. This is the set of manual wire strippers. A lot of the old school guys are adamant that you have to use these. I think I just use these because my automatic wire strippers broke. Now, unlike the crimper, we've got multiple different sections on this tool right here that are made specifically for cutting through wire or shielding or whatever. Now, I will say that if you use a different type of wire stripper, you might have a much bigger section that can be used to cut shielding. But what I like to do is not hold down too tight, but just kind of rotate this around just enough so that it's actually cutting through. And then you can actually just even take that off with your hand like that. So it's always important, if you're cutting through shielding that has multiple wires on the inside like this, that you check all of the bases to make sure that I didn't do like I did with the crimper and actually cut into those wires, which I did not. So now we have all these different little sizes here. On an automatic wire stripper, you don't have to worry about that. But if I pinch down on this, it's gonna cut into the copper because that little size setting right there is too small. So I'm gonna go up a couple of them and squeeze. And when I do that, I can actually even just pull off that shielding by hand. Most of the time you're gonna do it with the actual stripper itself, and you're using it for exactly what it's supposed to be used for, stripping wires. The next step that I'm gonna do is twist the ends of these things, and I'm gonna use those crimpers again so that I can go over that. Now, as I twist these, if I use the wrong setting, I saw one little tiny piece of copper right here bust off. That's not a big deal if it's only a little bit, but if I use the wrong too small size, you'd see a lot of those little strands of copper. So we know we did a decent job. Number 4 on our list is a set of 18 gauge wire. You should get 100 feet. I know you could get less, but if you get 100 feet, like you could cut a wire. You can easily do a little trick where you just unwind it and just hold it arm to arm. That's generally about 6-ish feet, depending on how tall you are. But if you do that once, you've got the width of the car. You do it 2 or 3 times, you got the length of the car. It's an easy way that you can run something just to test it, strip them with the strippers, hook up a couple of connectors to it, crimp them on there with your crimpers, and then you're all hooked up and you're able to test something before it's even permanently mounted with the wires routed on the car. There's lots of different types of connectors. There's spade connectors and butt connectors. And these little dudes right here, these are actually what I'm going to use for my power converter in just a little bit here. But for now, I'm gonna set those things to the side and I'm gonna actually prepare a little wire for testing some of my stuff here using my power converter. So again, another way that you can do all of this stuff, use the crimpers to cut. You can use the strippers to strip. Make sure you find the right little alignment slot there. Take some of our male and female connectors here, and I can put these on the 370Z 4th brake light, but I just want to have something that I can use for testing. So I'm going to go ahead and crimp these connectors that I had out onto this wire. Let's get our 370 set up over here. Cool, so now that our connectors are on there, we can make sure that everything plugs right in with the wires that we got prepared for our power supply. And the last thing that we have to do is put on those other little spade connectors that I have. And like I said, the crimpers will work on all sorts of different types of connectors. These are just what I know I need, and I'm gonna use a different part of the crimper right now. So I'm just smashing it straight down on this style, as opposed to the other where I used that little indentation. This is why I always twist wires together as well, because they don't want to go perfectly in line and they'll start fraying out. Boom, we're good to go. So we have these to go to our converter on one side, these to plug into our light on the other. Get yourself enough of this that you can play with it. You can make little connections where you just take your crimpers and your connectors and your strippers and the wire, you put it all together and you have something that you can use to test products or hook it up to item number 5 on our list, which I'm going to dive into now. And that is a power converter. This is a very stupid, simple, inexpensive thing that people don't use. I don't know, they want to make them themselves. I have a video about how to make one of these things using an old Xbox power supply that you can find maybe in your closet, but this you can find on Amazon for like 10 bucks. So this is a 10 amp one. I'm gonna link up a 30 amp one in the description below so you can turn on things like HID ballasts, other things like that that are gonna be a little bit more high amp draw than this little dude right here. But this is perfect for things like testing angel eyes and demon eyes and all of your different little connections that you can make. And you can make a whole system out of all of this stuff right here for less than 100 bucks. Like, jump on Amazon, swoop it all up, have everything that you need, and then buy some cool parts that you maybe want to put inside your headlights. While you're working on it, you'll be able to test everything and not have some crazy janky setup or run out to your car to test things every 5 minutes. Because the worst thing that could ever happen is you do something super custom and awesome, it's working, and then you go to turn it on the car when it's all sealed up and it doesn't work. Something didn't connect right, you're not sure where, you weren't testing as you built it. Take it from me, I've done it a million times. Just build, test, build, test, build, test, then install it on the car. This is the very first step that you need to take if you want to build cool lights. So I wanted to put this together for you, make it super simple, smash the like button if you enjoyed it, check out all the links below, and I'll see you in the next video where I use all this stuff.